Hello ladies and gentlemen, Mark Sham here. So today I'm super excited. I know I always say that, but the guest that I have in studio goes by the name of James Donald. He is the CEO of Tomorrow Trust, and I'm just so excited to have him here because I want to explain to the world who they are, what they do, and why the hell you should get excited. James, thanks so much for joining me.
Nice to be here.
So James, I always like to just start with a very simple question that's not always simple to answer, and it goes like this. For people who don't know you, who the hell is James Donald, and what is the value that you add to the world?
Oh, that isn't easy. I was asking myself that question a week ago. I was like, who the hell's Mark Sham, and why is he so excited about Tomorrow Trust? Because I must admit, people have been reaching out to me for the last couple of weeks already. I grew up in a place called Potch, so I'm half Afrikaans, half English. So I learned really early on this whole idea of us being different because the language you speak is not real. And then, I went to school 93, 94, so I realized fast that race is the same thing. Race is very real in the way we treat each other, but it's not real in an intrinsic way. And I've just been very fortunate to invest in this amazing country of ours, and I spend my life trying to help young people kind of go through that phase. If you remember, you were sort of 13, 14 or 21, 22. There are these moments when you start seeing yourself differently. You start thinking, who could I really be, And those moments keep coming as you go through life, and they make us successful. But often those moments happen more if you come from a middle-class background, just because of your exposure to adults, your opportunity to see people do things. So I've been very lucky to kind of commit my career and trying to help through education, through National Youth Service, through soccer programs, through all kinds of things, help young people kind of connect to caring adults and start seeing themselves differently and kind of become, the same way you and I both have, or are, I guess.
Yeah, and I resonate with it deeply because I guess the question I would ask you next is, why do you care?
Yeah, I think these questions are deep. I think all of us are wired in a way to find meaning in life. There's that Viktor Frankl quote that all of us sort of say, okay, what we sort of stand there, sort of shouting at the universe, like, what is the point of all of this? And he sort of spun it on his head and said, actually, it's the universe sort of saying to you, like, what's the point of your life? So I think it's. For some reason, I've always wanted to feel like I'm doing something meaningful and working on something rather than for something and being part of something bigger than myself. So I care about that. I also deeply care about South Africa, and I want my children to be able to thrive and succeed here. And in order for that to happen, we have to take responsibility for our past. We need to really make social justice issues real. And we need to fix tomorrow by investing in young people today. And we can all do that in one conversation, in one donation to your drive, in the way we even see and think about each other. We can change things straight away.
Well, then if you're looking for the answer, the flip side answer is I'm wired the same way. I think that the greatest thing that we can do is create value for others. I don't know why, if I'm honest. I don't know what it is about that process that really drives me, but I enjoy the concept of value creation. I've been obsessed with education for the longest time. It's a tricky one to solve because it's not going to be solved by one entity in one go. But what happened was a few weeks ago, and I don't think you know this, a few weeks ago, a friend of mine raised a whole bunch of money for the PEP Lay-By Buddy program. And what happened is she's a mom, and she just saw this program, and this wave of emotion came over her that she felt how indignified it was that some parents are in a position that they can't even pay for their kids' school uniforms. So by her account, the way she explains it is she's just an ordinary person. She doesn't have a big social media presence, etc. She used her birthday to climb 13 peaks in Cape Town. She raised 40K in like 10 days. And I watched this. And the story really hit me because I know her personally, but it was watching how revved up she got about something, and then knowing that she doesn't have a lot of resources, and watching how it revved other people, and then she raised all this money, did something to me. And I looked at it, and the timing was perfect because I was like, well, my birthday's in 2 months and a bit, but I'm in a fortunate position. I have the studio, that's a major resource. I have a really big social media following. I have a marketing background. I understand storytelling. I'm fairly well connected. Like, I have resources. And so I want to use my birthday to do something. But in this case, I'm not a mom. I'm not a parent, but what really resonated for me is education. Yeah. And then I started thinking about who, what, how would benefit from this. And the immediate two that came to my mind was Christel House. I don't know if you know much about them, but they're a school in Cape Town that educates the poorest of the poor kids at no cost. And I've got a very close tie with them. And then with you guys. And the connection, which I'll explain a little bit later, actually runs very deep with Tomorrow Trust. But I actually haven't done enough with Tomorrow Trust. And so it came up perfectly. I decided, and I didn't even speak to you guys. I just put it out there because it's my style. I kind of wanted it to catch you off guard. And we did it. And so here we are. And that's how it came about for me. So I think what I would love for you to explain in your own words would be best to I know your story, but I would love for you to explain to me and the viewers really who and what Tomorrow Trust is. What do you do? What do you stand for? Just give me all the detail that we need to know.
Yeah, I mean, to have this platform is amazing. So I joined about 3 years ago, but it was founded by a woman called Kim Feinberg around 15 years ago. And she'd always been involved in social justice issues, reconciliation stuff, and she'd spent time, there were lots of residential facilities for orphans about 15 years ago when the HIV and AIDS crisis was at its peak. And she tells this amazing story about just seeing people come together, create homes for young people who'd lost their parents. But her kids were young at that time, and she just had this, I guess, realization that nobody was thinking about the potential those young children had to go to university and live like full lives. You know, it's not that people didn't think that it was possible for them; it just didn't even occur to the people that were just in the day-to-day, trying to get them food, trying to get them accommodation, get them love. So we started off with scholarships for 5 students at Wits. And the theory was that young people who come from orphan and vulnerable backgrounds, so even less than the average adult support, and through some miracle, a lot of young people like that get to a place like this. So they would need accommodation, living allowance, expenses, and then they would also need psychological support. They would need like professional investment. And so that program has grown. We now have around 150 students a year. We have psychologists that run that program. Full comprehensive financial support, but we expect a lot from the students too. You know, they invest in themselves and in us. And we're different to most programs in that we're not looking for the superstars academically. We're looking for young people who know what they want and can tell a story about why they want to achieve it and who have less than the average adult help. So not everyone in our program is orphan or vulnerable, but many are. And 95% or more of the last 15 years of students in that program have graduated. You know, in South Africa, I mean, you know, 50% of students that sign up for a university degree ever get it. So we're taking those that have the least chance of succeeding and helping them believe in themselves and it works. And then the last piece is about 10 years ago, you know, the chances of getting into university in the first place are just really so slim. So we work from grade R to grade 12. Department of Social Development identifies orphanages and orphan and vulnerable kids that go to schools that get additional support. The schools nominate those young people, and then we have about 1,200 kids, Joburg and Cape Town, and then we do Saturday and holiday school programs with them. Around 40 days worth of contact time in person or last year digitally. And same thing, I mean, our matric pass rate over the last 5 years has been about 98%, around 80% have gotten university exemption. Wow. And these aren't cherry picking the rock stars. These are taking the kids that, you know, have the least support at home and just seeing them as whole young people and investing in them. And it works. I mean,
yeah. You know, as you explain it to me, it hits me quite deeply because I don't come from money, but I was lucky to have some real privileges that I didn't realize were privileges as a kid, but now looking back, you realize. Like, I come from a middle-class family, but what I had was a dad who didn't even teach me about entrepreneurship. He just was an entrepreneur. So it taught me that entrepreneurship was possible by action. If your mom or dad was, and I'm not dissing these vocations, but if your mom and dad are a gardener and a domestic, the downside or the lack of privilege is that you don't have a full scope for what's potentially possible. And there are many other privileges. So the other day, my car goes in for a service and they keep it for an extra day. And I had to run to gym. And I stay in Bryanston. And I had this thought that led up to this, which is when you start to understand an abundance mindset for your own life, when you mature in that cycle, you realize that you can't truly be happy being abundant when everybody else isn't. It sits with me. And so I'm running to gym, and I realize I'm doing it for fun, and the only other people on the road that are running with me are domestic workers and gardeners getting to these very fancy homes because they have no other choice. A similar thing happened to me where I do these fasts, these 2 or 3 day fasts, and it always makes me super grateful because you realize I've got a fridge full of food and I'm abstaining from food because I'm choosing, but I can go break that like this. And I think that there's something about showing people that we don't have to wait for an outside entity to come in and play a role. And so when I first found out about you guys, I always wanted to try find a way of helping, but it was always very hit and miss for me because maybe it just wasn't the time.
Yes.
So when the Birthday Wish project came up with myself and Nicola, my business partner, we just knew that this is something that we wanted to support you guys with, and that's why I asked you to come up on camera. And again, I think it's so important that people know the behind the scenes views from you guys, right? Because I have that detail. That's why maybe I'm a bit more driven, but other people don't. So are there any other things that you can perhaps share just with the audience at large, the things that they maybe need to know that make you guys special, not compared to everybody else, but like, what is the flavor that you got going? What are the things that people need to know outside of what you've mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about holistic education from playgrounds to professions, right? So what you just spoke about there, that experience is a holistic education, right? And the vision we sort of have for South Africa is a place where you have sort of conscious, holistically educated leaders, right? So the people who are running our country have actually worked through their stuff, right? Plus, they come from every background in society, not just wealthy and privileged or politically connected, but they come from all walks of life, because that'll make South Africa the kind of place we want it to be, right? And then, as we went through that process, we spent lots of time talking to our alumni, talking to our kids, and also kind of digging into the science. Like, what does learning science say about, like, how can we actually fix and change things? And the language that our beneficiaries chose, so the three sort of values we talk about are growth, compassion, and social justice. So this idea that all of us can grow, and you only grow if you have a combination of a challenge and support. Those two things make you grow. So it doesn't really matter what your parents' job is. If they are challenging you to do things, whatever it might be, get under the taxi and help change the oil on the weekend, or like do chores or whatever. If they're challenging you and making you do things you thought you couldn't do, and they're supporting you, you'll grow. Our brains are wired that way. Compassion, if you sort of feel seen and heard, we learn better. Plus compassion, I mean, you're the perfect example of that, Mark. Like, empathy is sort of feeling someone's pain. Compassion is like being compelled to do something about it. You don't see that often, right? But it's a very energizing thing. And also it can be very disempowering when you feel like you're being helped to look down on. So anybody can be compassionate, right? And then social justice is just recognizing that things are distributed incredibly unfairly. In South Africa, perhaps worse than anywhere else in the world. And seeing that and understanding it is both a purpose for everybody. We want to make the world better. If you talk to any of our beneficiaries, they don't want to talk about their backgrounds and their challenges. They want to talk about the value they're adding to the world, the difference they're going to make. And they all are compelled around this social justice thing. So, I think you're hitting a nerve there. The story told about your dad and what you've seen, I'd love people to think about that as they kind of, ask themselves and others to donate, to us, to others. The last thing I'll just say is, like, someone has to ask you to help. It's sort of the way we wired, right? So stepping up and asking people often feels uncomfortable, but you're giving people an opportunity, to be part of something special, and I really appreciate that.
Well, something that really dawned on me in the last while is that I've been talking about active citizenship for a long time, but you realize that for many people, it's not clear for them where to begin. What I saw, we've been going for about a week now, and what I've seen with most people is if you make it clear and easy for them to get involved, they will. And actually, most people want to. They just don't know where to go. So if you come to them and say to them, hey, it's my birthday, we're going to run and hike and drink, and you're going to pay to be part of that. You're not donating to me. You're actually going to come hike with me or run with me, or we're going to do it virtually. You can do it wherever if you are in a separate place, not in Joburg. But like, come get involved, and you make it easy. So I pay $150 and I run. Yes. And then that money goes there. Yes. Well, I can do that. And they put the money forward. Or I don't want to be part of those festivities. I just want to donate. But again, why I asked you to come in is it matters differently if people can see the behind the scenes views. Because right now people are giving largely because I'm asking or because I've told a good story. But I actually want them to see it further. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I thought it was so powerful to have you not only come and share just the behind the scenes views from your end, but there must be so many crazy things that you guys see on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. I think the problem for us is that we just desensitized from the process because we tend to live in our bubbles. And that's fine. I also think that South Africans are a bit donor fatigued out. You drive every traffic light, there's someone asking you for something. I get it. But I think that's why people being part of something really matters. And so I really wanted to just also use this opportunity to shine a light on you guys and also just say thank you. Like, thank you for the work that you do. And hopefully in turn, people see this, they hear this, and it moves them. Because I think there's nothing more gratifying than when you realize you don't have to wait for some shitty government or some outside entity to create the change that you want to see in society. So from me to you, I really just wanted to say thank you equally for the work that you guys do. And what I want to do is, that's your close-up camera over there. I really want to just give you the last word as far as Tomorrow Trust goes, and then I'll close off. So if you want, you're welcome to use that camera just to give people your parting message, how they can get hold of you, etc.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is if you think back to the sort of 13-year-old boy or girl inside you, what they felt, what they were scared of, what they hoped for, that child, that young person is still with you, and thinking about what do you wish you could tell that person today that would make them feel braver, give up less easily, feel more hopeful. We really believe that those kinds of opportunities lie today. So please follow tomorrow.org.za is our website. Look for us on Facebook. We'd love Mark, you and others come and see our programs, come and meet our alumni, and get involved with us and other education programs. And don't give up on South Africa. Don't give up on yourselves. The best is yet to come.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the parting message that I would really leave to you guys, I mean, you've got James here, is I think what I'm trying to set as an example is I don't think that we're going to solve all of South Africa's problems with this campaign at all, obviously. It's about the practice and getting into the feel of what it is like to become an active citizen. It's showing you that it's almost trying to give you permission to get involved instead of waiting. So, just again, the Birthday Wish Project is simple. I'm just using my birthday as a gimmick, if for nothing else, to kind of just spur people into action. I'm a marketer by trade. I know that if you get a large enough group of people early on to get involved, that later on it has a compound interest effect where more and more people want to get involved. I think there's something about creating community around change rather than just asking for donations, which is key. All the money that we raise is going toward, right now there are 2 organizations, Tomorrow Trust being one and Christel House. The money's sitting with Hero Ticket, which are the people who are, none of the money comes into our account, so it's fully transparent. And I'm going to use these resources to shine a spotlight and build a campaign. And the way that you can help, besides entering the run or the hike or coming and getting pissed with me for my birthday, is that you can donate. But most importantly, what you can do is you can tell other people about it. You can own this project. And at the very least, you can share a video like this. So James, thanks so much for coming in. Thanks for just sharing a little bit. We'll definitely have you back over the course of the 2 months. And then I think what would be lovely is to actually see post. We can document a few things within these next 2 months. And then when we're done, depending on what we raise, we can go and see what that money does and where it goes to. And I think it's really important to set it off. So thanks very much for coming into this. Thanks for all the work that you do. Thanks for being part of this, whether you like to or not. Jokes, but thanks for being part of it. And until next time.
Yeah, have a great birthday. Look forward to it.